Hi everyone. I've been having some technical issues with VoiceThread, but wanted to make sure that you all could see my chart, hence the creation of this PowerPoint. So let's jump right into my first determinant, which is outcome expectations, specifically at the understanding level of the cognitive domain. And I separated this into two parts. So the objective for part one is for the athletes to provide a description of their recent diets. The strategy is for me to provide the athletes with a self-assessment to really personalize how relevant the risk of excess consumption of processed and fast foods are to them by simply looking at their own diets. The educational activity I have planned for this is for them to complete a 24-hour recall sheet that I will customize to be simple and quick and really tailored for a 15 to 18-year-old teenage boy. Moving on to part two, the specific objective would be for the athletes to describe personal benefits they would get from consuming less processed foods and more healthy, whole food options. The strategy I have for this part will be to teach the athletes about the risk associated with their behaviors, such as possible overweight and obesity or decreased athletic performance, as well as discussing the positive outcomes associated with changing their current diets. For part two, I plan on doing a round circle discussion with the team where we basically take time to brainstorm the benefits of changing dietary behaviors within the context of their lifestyles. So for instance, maybe eating healthier will help one of the athletes lose weight, which will make them faster on the field and increase their chance of getting a scholarship. And I plan on making this more interactive and fun by passing around a Nerf ball to the players who choose to volunteer to give examples. The next determinant is perceptive norms, specifically descriptive norms, which can be categorized into the affective domain at the responding level. The objective for this determinant is for the athletes to identify relevant norms of those in their environment who probably influence their norms. The strategy I will be using is providing the data that shows how prevalent excess fast food consumption and overweight and obesity is within the teenage male football player population. And I actually have some pretty interesting statistics that demonstrate that high school football players are uniquely at risk for obesity compared to athletes in other sports at that same age. So I'm looking forward to sharing this information and seeing how they react to it. And the activity I have planned is having the team watch a PowerPoint with examples of popular athletes, well-known, famous athletes that they probably look up to, practicing healthy eating behaviors. And I think this will be important in motivating the athletes to subscribe to new norms. Moving on to the self-efficacy determinant, which is part of the psychomotor domain of the practicing level. The objective will be for the athletes to participate in choosing nutrient-dense, whole food options over processed food options. And the strategy is to reframe their perceived difficulty of behavior change to make them feel more confident in their abilities. And the activity that I have planned is to create a game where I will present them with relatable hypothetical scenarios, such as preparing breakfast or searching for a post-game meal, in which they have to choose what foods would be ideal for the scenario. And I plan to make the game start with easy multiple choice questions to build the athlete's confidence and end with harder open-ended questions to really demonstrate their reasoning abilities. Lastly is the self-regulation determinant, which is within the adopting level of the psychomotor domain. The objective for this final domain is for the athletes to set an action goal, and the strategy I plan on using is walking the athletes through the process of choosing specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals, also known as SMART goals. And the activity, basically the closing activity, would be for the athletes to review their 24-hour recalls and based on what they learned in the session, set an action goal. And after that, I will assign the athletes an accountability partner that's on their team, and they will tell them their goals, and this partner will check on their progress once a week. And that is basically it. I look forward to reading your comments. Take care.